Hello there. Welcome back, my friends. Absolutely every one of us needs real estate, both personally and for businesses. Who guessed? I know, right? Maybe that's why it's been one of the best performing assets over any of our lifetimes. I don't care how old or young you are, real estate has done fantastic. That's why nobody can afford a house these days. Well, that and rampant money printing, but you know, we're probably not supposed to talk about that last part. No, today, I'm going to tell you about a little solution we have to real estate, or at least a way to profit off of it. You may never own a home, but maybe you can profit off that. And that's just as good, right? Well, no, but I'm sorry. I can make you money, I can't give you a home. Or maybe we can do a promotion for that later. We'll see. Talk about it in the comments. If this video gets 100,000 likes in the first 7 days, maybe we'll give away a home. Let's see. But anyway, today, we're going to tell you about the Overlord real estate empire. That's right, I'm creating a real estate empire, and I'm letting you guys get a piece of it. Apparently, we have people that want homes. Well, you know what? I'm going to make sure they get them. For the right price, of course. You know, nothing in this world is free, I'm afraid. Not even air. Oh gosh. Breathe in, pay taxes. Breathe in, pay taxes. Anyway. Some of y'all are wondering, how does this real estate empire work and how do I profit? Because if I can't own a home, I at least need to make a buck off of it. Well, it's real simple. We're going to launch a token here. And this token is going to be a whole lot like a REIT. Okay? And for those of you who don't know what a REIT is, it's a real estate investment trust. Okay? All it is a whole bunch of properties put together. They get rented out to people. And then it pays a bunch of its cash back to people. Now, a technical REIT has 100 people as unit holders, and it is required to pay 80%, and it gets a tax benefit and a few other things, and it's not super special or creative. And a lot of them are publicly listed, like Realty Income. Problem is, REITs are really good. They make a lot of money, they pay it all out. They don't grow a lot because they have to pay it all out, but they're pretty consistent. And so a lot of times their valuations get really high and they start only paying out like 4% of, their face value price. And 4% is just not enough for anybody. I mean, that's almost as bad as a CD at a bank these days. That's just not going to cut it, okay? That's not even inflation levels most of the time. So what we decided is we're going to make something that's really similar to a REIT, but definitely not a REIT. And we're going to actually provide some real value to people. See, how this is going to work is, we're going to offer tokens. These tokens are going to be priced initially at $1. You pay $1, you get one token. Real straightforward. Now, the cash that's used from this, plus money I additionally put in, I'm starting out with $5 million in the thing, and I'm planning to put a $12 million over the next year reward, $1 million a month, to people who owe the tokens. Now, we're going to take the money that has been put in, and we're going to go out and buy properties. I know. Sophisticated, right? And then we're going to rent them. We're going to rent them for about 1.1% of the value of the property per month. Now, this is going to let us take care of all the expenses and stuff, the mortgages and blah, blah, blah. And then the leftover cash flow we will be using to grow the business. I know, you probably expected me to say to distribute that out. And we could, but there's something better we're going to do. I'm going to provide a line of credit to this business. That line of credit will be used to go out and give you guys a distribution. It'll be roughly 80% of the value of the underlying real estate's cash flow. Now you say, why 80%? Why not 100? Well, simple. We're going to make sure this thing is super solvent. So the extra 20% of the cash flow that is not being allocated to taking care of this is going to paying down the debt and giving a buffer of safety. That way, this thing is super safe. Now, what are we going to do with the original cash flow? We're going to buy more real estate. That way, we get to benefit from all the growth potential that the real estate offers. We're constantly compounding our cash every single month. More properties means more income. More income means even more properties. And now, you're still going to be benefiting from the underlying cash flow, but you're going to also benefit from more properties being bought in. So the cash flow is going to increase faster. And the equity value of the business is going to increase at a much higher rate. Now, some of you may be like, cool, this is really similar to a REIT. And so far, you're really right. But we're going to do a couple extra things that normal REITs don't get to do. The first is the business that holds all these properties is an extra lever that we have to play with. Normally, you have the ownership of the business as an investor in the REIT. But because we're going to hold the REIT, we can leverage it up. And so we can get an extra 25, 50, who knows, maybe we can even fully double the value of the actual equity in all these homes. And so now we're multiplying our multiples because we aren't just going to buy these properties outright. No, we're going to buy them and we're going to get a mortgage with 10% down on it, which means for the same dollar, we can buy 10 times the amount of properties. But then if we can take that equity and go up one level higher to the corporate level and leverage it up there as well, we can now, say, get 20 times leverage on the underlying money. Well, what would you rather have, one house or 20 houses? The 20 houses is obviously going to produce vastly more income, even accounting for the mortgage costs and fees, than the one house would ever be able to produce. And you're going to be building equity at a far higher rate, because as these mortgages are getting paid back, you're getting equity in all 20 properties, as opposed to equity in just one of them. So, you're growing equity way faster, and we have it leveraged up. But what else can we do? Well, I'll tell you. One more really, really cool thing we have, because we have this token, and this token's going to pay a very, very generous distribution, okay? And it pays monthly. And it pays in stable coins for anybody who's not clear. Everything always needs to be paid in stable coins because I like me some stables. Anyway, you're going to be able to take these real estate tokens and you're going to be able to put them in DeFi. Now, you can borrow against them, say at the DD protocol. And because real estate is, real estate, the foundation, the dirt on which we build everything, you can get a pretty high LTV or loan to value ratio. So you can loop this thing up several times. Let's say that we have a 25% yield coming from the underlying tokens. Well, if you loop it up several times, and let's say they charge a 5% fee on that, for the interest, of course, that means you're getting a net of 20% for every time you get to loop it. Say you loop it 10 times. You are now at 200%, not accounting for the equity value gain that you're going to be indirectly experiencing on these tokens. 200%? That is insane in real estate. Okay? And these are using very conservative figures that we're using here. Guys, if you guys have real estate that's performing at more than 200% a year, and it's not just like a trailer park or Section 8 housing where it's very likely to get shot at or something, please let me know, because that's insane. Once we ran these numbers and I found out it could be that much, I was like, oh, well, I'll buy 12 million, please, and 5 million. And how much can I put into this? Let me just check my wallet real quick. I'm buying. Because why not? It's incredible. But it turns out that's not all. So there's one more really, really cool thing you can do with this structure. Something that makes everything else look almost insignificant. Now, these tokens are valuable. They're cash flowing like crazy, and the equity is growing. So why not use them for transactions? See, we can go to a business or a person, whoever owns the property, and go, hi, I see you've got property there. I have tokens. I will trade you tokens of an equal value to your property for all or even just a percentage of your property, and the rest will be settled in cash or stable coins. Now, what we do here in this transaction is magic. You see, say you sell us the property and we give you real estate tokens for it. Real estate tokens are not technically a liability on our balance sheet, so it doesn't negatively impact our equity to give them tokens. But getting the new property our equity goes up by the amount of the value of the property. And if it's unencumbered and it has no mortgages or anything on it, then we can go out and get mortgages on it. So we can get 90% of the value of the property we just got that didn't cost us upfront cash and go out there and buy 9 more properties. This is crazy. And we got the full value of the property as equity on the company that we can go and leverage to get even more. It's crazy. Now, we might not go full leveraged that hard all the time. Obviously, you've got to have the right deal. You can't just buy every property and be like, cool, we're going to make infinite money. That's not how it works. You got to have the right deal and the right location and the right people to manage it. Obviously, there's a whole lot of little nuts and bolts that you've got to do. But just from a numbers perspective, from a high-level overview, oh my goodness, these transactions are amazing. And then, now that you've got these tokens and we're doing transactions like this, every time we do a transaction like that, the net value of your token has went up because we're able to leverage up that value several times over. And no matter how much we give out new tokens for equal value of property, so long as we give an appropriate value of property such that we can get rent income, it won't negatively impact the net value of each token, as the pie will be growing as we're giving out more. This is something a lot of people overlook or just don't understand. It's okay to make new tokens and hand them out for things, but you have to hand them out in exchange for value. In this case, cash flow value and equity value. Now, we may not do a ton of these deals, but for every one we do, it massively increases the rate of growth and it makes the thing more stable through more diversification. In fact, these transactions are so valuable to token holders, I personally am going to incentivize them. That's right. I'm going to open my wallet up and I am going to give a 4% little commission to anybody who brings us a good property that we end up buying with real estate tokens. Now, some of you out there, you have gotten in the big boys club. You are in the nobility class. And so for lords, we're going to up that to 5%. For dukes, 6% cash back on all those transactions or commission, whatever you want to call it. And if you're a king out there, if you are one of those ballers, 9%. You bring us a deal that gets closed in that manner, I personally will pay you 9% in stable coins of the deal value because it's just worth it. And personally, I'm going to have such a big stake in this real estate thing. It's very worth it for me. It values my tokens much better that way. And since I'm handing out money, I might as well say, come along, everybody in the noble class, I'm going to give the lords a 1% for the first year. Cash back on any real estate tokens they buy. I'm going to let the dukes out there get a 5% to let you know I appreciate you. Cash back on any real estate tokens you purchase. And if you're a king, we appreciate you. Thank you for being a part of the community. 10% cash back on any of these real estate tokens. The only caveat is you have to maintain your subscription for a year, and at the end of the year, you will be given the full cash back. Now, some of you may be going, whoa, let me do a little calculation. I got the basic intro. I'm one of those minions. 4% cash back, what does that equate to? Or rather, 4% commission. Well, it equates to about what a real estate commission is. Though we're certainly not pretending it's a full real estate commission. We wouldn't want to upset any regulators, right? But let's say you get us a property that's worth $100,000 and we do the deal and you have the 4% commission. $4,000 I'll send straight to you. It'll be put in your Overlord Club account right after closing. Enjoy. Have a nice day. You bring us a $1 million property? Cool. 40 G's, $40,000 right in your Overlord Club account as soon as we get it closed. If you somehow find a good $10 million property, one of those hotels or something that like the deal makes sense, $400,000 straight to your account as soon as we close. And some of you are going, hey, that's almost enough to afford a house. And you're right. You can almost buy a house. Now, some of you in San Francisco or anywhere else in California where you're seeing everything fall apart are probably going, I'm seeing $100 million, $200 million hotels get sold like crazy. And they're getting sold for rock bottom prices. Are you saying if I get one of those for $20 million, I'll get $800,000 if it closes? Yes, but that's not all. Because if you bring me a deal where it's a really, really valuable property and we're getting it for such an incredible deal, we're talking like $100, $200 million property, and we're picking it up for somewhere in the teens, not only will you get your commission, which say we buy it for $20 million, cool, you get an $800,000 commission on that. But if it's worth more than 10 times what we pay for it, or even 10 times what we pay for it, I'll personally throw in some more. I will throw in a nice bonus to be determined on, just how much the difference between the value of the property and what we actually got it for is. Say it's a $100 million property that we bought for $10 million. I'll probably float you $1 million. We'll do it on a case-by-case basis. Good luck. And remember, if you're a king, that's 9%. That $10 million property, you're getting 900 G's. Maybe keep your eye out. Just saying. It's pretty good money. Now, some of y'all are wondering, okay, so what about DeFi? How are we distributing our stable coins if I want to take the thing into DeFi? Do I just forgo them, or how does that work? Okay, it's real simple. All you got to do is take your coin and you wrap it. That's all. Okay? You do a staked, wrapped version of it, which we will offer through the Overlord Club very soon. And then you'll take the staked, wrapped token, and what it'll do is it'll take those stable coins and it'll get new shares, or new tokens, I should say. New Overlord Real Estate Empire tokens, or OREs. And it'll add to the underlying value of your position. So you may have one token going in when you wrap it, and if the distributions over the course of however long you've had it wrapped are such that the full value, you've made 100% return, when you unwrap it, you'll have 2 real estate tokens because it will have kept buying itself. And yes, the value will compound. So say we have a 20 or 25% annual distribution, but it pays monthly. Every month it'll get more, and that more amount that you got will be paying the distribution as well. So it compounds very nicely on itself, just as if you were doing it yourself. Okay, and there's no fees, no any of that. It happens automatically. So now you can take this wrapped token that's just a value accrual asset, and you can take it to a place like DD, borrow against it, and you can do whatever you want. You have liquidity in your position, and you're gaining value. What's not to like? Now, some of y'all are probably going, okay, hey, I like this. High yields, real estate, sounds pretty good. What about when we want to sell? What's the liquidity look like? Well, on top of me having incentivized massive amounts of liquidity in various decentralized exchanges, Uniswap, SushiSwap, your usual suspects, we're going to have the Overlord Real Estate Empire system have a redemption module. Now, every month, 3% of the token supply, the total outstanding token supply, will be able to redeem for underlying stablecoins. And this stablecoin value that we're going to buy it back for is going to be worth the average of the last 30 days trading. Now, this value is going to be pulled, of course, from Chainlink oracles and various other oracles that may be set up, exchange data, etc., etc. And it's just going to be the floating average. So whatever it was trading at, roughly what it was trading at for the last 30 days. And you can redeem it at any time. It's permissionless. And now some of you are going, okay, so I can redeem 3% a month of the total value. So all of us together could redeem up to that much, or one person could redeem it all, however it is. And that 3% resets every month. But also, after you've exhausted that amount, what you can do is 10% will be able to be redeemed for the face value that it was initially offered at, so $1 in other words. Now, maybe the token's trading at $3 and you'd never want to redeem it at $1, perfectly fine, wait a month. Or just sell it on a secondary market, either way. But the thing itself is offering liquidity. Now, the reason it can't offer drastically more is because unwinding real estate positions is pretty hard. Like, you don't want to do it at the wrong time and cause a loss. So, it's got to be very careful and selective in this fund to manage this position. Now, what if you guys didn't want all these distributions in the form of stablecoin? Is there another option? A lot of people like buybacks. Well, not only do these tokens give you this cash flow, which is very nice, but you also get to use them to vote. Now, you can vote on various parameters that I'm going to tell you about here in a minute, but one of the main things you get to vote on is what's the ratio of buybacks to cash flow. So you can allocate any percentage you want to either your stablecoin distributions every month or to buybacks. So most of you will probably be 100% I want stablecoin distributions because it's stablecoin distributions. Who doesn't love that? But for some of you, you'll be like, I want the equity value to go up of this token. Let's do some buybacks. And for you, I say, cool, vote for it. And here's how they're going to work. We actually don't do just one type of buyback. There are two kinds of buybacks that the Overlord real estate empire offers. The first buyback is the traditional one you know very well, the one that Apple does regularly with massive amounts of money. You go into the market and you buy the tokens back, or shares in their case, but tokens in this case, and you destroy them. They're out of existence, and so the average value of each of the tokens relative to the underlying cash flow is increased. Pretty simple, but there are some negative effects. See, when you go out into the market and you buy a massive amount of this, it'll increase the price, but when you're buying, you might not be getting the most efficient price you could get. And so we came up with a solution for that. We have what we call passive buybacks. You see, if you choose for a passive buyback to occur, whatever percentage of the revenue that is getting allocated will be allocated to the passive buyback module. Now, earlier we mentioned how every month 3% of the total value of the outstanding tokens can be redeemed for whatever the market price was. Well, if we're doing passive buybacks, you'll be able to redeem that dollar value amount as well. So after you exhaust the 3%, let's say there was another 3% in passive buybacks allocated that month. That extra 3% is the amount that will be available to turn in at the market value because of the passive buyback system. And some of you are going, well, okay, that's great. What happens if we don't use that? What if there's only 1% ever redeemed that month? We didn't even go through the 3% that was allocated, let alone the extra 3% that was done for passive buybacks. Well, it's simple. It just rolls to the next month, and it'll roll and roll and roll. Now, there's actually an extra nifty little feature. You see, when you are doing these buybacks, or you're just going through the redemption, there is a teeny tiny little fee. It's a small fraction of a percent. But the small fraction of a percent is taken and it's put in the passive buyback system. So they're always going to be just a little bit put in every month in the passive buyback system, assuming somebody has redeemed tokens, which maybe they didn't. Maybe they just sold them into the market if they wanted to. Or, maybe people just want to keep them because real estate tends to appreciate a whole lot faster than most people's wages, as I am told repeatedly and very happily at bank board meetings. But all that to say, we've designed a system so that you can benefit off real estate. And honestly, full disclosure, so I can benefit off of it too. I want to get more real estate, and I want to do it in DeFi where I can drastically increase my returns. It just makes sense for me. It makes sense for you. You're welcome, people. Now maybe a millennial can own a home or rent one from us. Not too bad if they do the second. Honestly, it's going to be a lot more of the second than the first, but It's the best we can hope for these days, guys. Maybe next time I'll have something where you actually get to own the home. Have a nice day.